Hello, and welcome to Thoughts per Episode Bleach 1000 Year Blood War Edition. I wasn't originally going to do this, but I've read that they're going to do like 12 episodes a season, I think it was, and then they're going to have breaks in between. It's not going to be the traditional ongoing fare with filler arcs in between, thank God. So, I think I can fit some thoughts on Bleach in. I expect that a lot of these videos are going to be quite short, but today I have quite a lot to talk about because this is the first episode of Bleach we've seen in about a decade. I think it's been about a decade. So, to give you a quick rundown of my history with Bleach, I'm a huge Bleach fan, obviously. It was the first anime I ever saw. I've actually got a video on this channel from about a year ago now called What Bleach Means to Me. Go watch that one if you are interested in hearing more about my background with Bleach and what it means to me, go figure. I also did a couple of videos where I was rereading the manga for the first time in years. So there's those videos to go and listen to if you would like to hear me re-experience the story of Bleach. I reread it, I think it was about a year ago now. So the whole 1000 Year Blood War arc is vaguely familiar in my memory, but I'm sure there's nuances I've forgotten again even now. But I do feel well equipped to give my thoughts on how it's going. I'm not going to give spoilers, but you may be able to get some hints as to what's going to happen in the future based on my reactions to things, so do be aware of that if you're listening to this series. But my overall impression of the first episode of 1000 Year Blood War is that Studio... I always call them Perio, but they're Piero. Studio Piero knocked it out of the fucking park. It was so good. It was so good to see Bleach again. Oh my god, I had such a big smile on my face. I was audibly reacting to some of the animation shots as well, which is always a good sign. The soundtrack is banging. We've got Shiro Sagasu back, I believe, and... oh, it's so good. I'm sorry, I don't know the German lyrics. But given how often I've been listening to the Hellverse soundtrack over the years, I'll probably learn them. So from what I remember, for those curious who haven't read the manga, this episode, I think, was pretty much a panel-to-panel adaptation of the first two issues of the manga. I think, like, the first half is the first issue, the second half is the second. I don't know if it's going to be that cleanly adapted going forwards. I know that there's been some speculation based on the trailers that we might be getting more detail on some of the fights which occur in this series, which were slightly skipped over for various reasons in the manga, so that's exciting to see. But I just can't get over how clean it looked. It looked so good. I mean, obviously, Bleach is a very old anime at this point, right? You go back and you watch the original episodes and you're like, that has aged. I mean, you could say it's aged well, but it's certainly not new. And you've got things as well like the original colour palette wasn't translated faithfully in the original series, but now Ichigo's Getsuga Tensho is yellow in his Shikai state instead of blue. And his Bankai version is like black and like maybe a bit of white. It also looked quite like sparkly. I quite liked that. I started with the anime growing up. I used to watch it because this was I'm sure the fucking lore on piracy can forgive me for this, because it was a time before Crunchyroll, a time before this stuff really got adapted to the West. I used to watch it on a website called Bleachget, and it was fan translations, and they were serviceable, they were good enough. It was a little bit weird adapting to the official translations in some cases, because you would have some things like Getsuga Tensho, I think roughly translates to God, it's been so long, Heaven-Piercing Moonblade or something like that. And, some episodes with some sub-translations would have it say that instead of Getsuga Tensho, that kind of thing. Bankai would be full release, you know how it goes. But yeah, my point is, having started with the anime growing up, it is slightly weird to see the Getsuga Tensho be yellow, but it's nice. It really does look like, every now and again, you'd get a color page, right, in the manga. And this entire anime kind of looks like those color pages. It looks like the original artwork. It looks so crisp and so clean, and I just drank in every frame. It's like the original show was like 720p HD telly, and now we're watching it on a 4K telly. That's kind of like the level of transformation this feels like. Some of the moments which really stood out to me in this episode, animation wise or just in general, Arihime had a pretty badass entrance, actually. I really enjoyed it, how, like, after the first few minutes we have of these new Soul Reapers coming in, of these new Shinigami coming to Karakura Town and being absolutely shit scared by the Hollows, we have Arihime walk into the fray, completely not bothered by any of it. Like, they did such a good job, and Kubo in the original manga did such a good job of scaling things back, showing us things from the point of view of the kind of average strength of your foot soldier Shinigami, to kind of reintroduce just how powerful the main cast are at this point in comparison. And Arihime in the past, I believe, has gotten some flack for, while her healing powers are OP and everything, like as a character being weak in terms of combat situations, but here she comes in and just fucking deflects a giant ass hollow and sets off a domino chain reaction. I don't remember the domino chain reaction from the manga, but I could have maybe skipped over that panel while reading quickly or something. But I thought she had a really cool entrance. She's badass. I like her. I like the character reintroductions in general. It felt like they hammed it up, so it was more than just like alright, here's the cast at the start of the next arc. It was more, hey, remember these guys from the original anime? Like, they had title cards for each one. It was pretty cool. I found myself laughing at the general interactions between the characters as well, like when they're at the bedside of that Shinigami whose name I've forgotten. I mean, he's pretty forgettable. I'm sorry, my guy, but you were pretty forgettable. He exists to serve a purpose, and that purpose, as I already mentioned, is to show off how strong the main cast are. He's your oh god, what was his name? Hinatoru? Oh my god, it's been too long. That guy. He's like that guy from Squad 4. Squad 4? Oh my god. Fucking fake Bleach fan over here. Fake Bleach fan doesn't even know the entire cast name and all of the different squads they all belong to. Hinatoru? Okay, I give up. I thought the fight scene between Ichigo and Eburn, or Airburn, was really well animated for such a low stakes fight. Like, it's not exactly Ichigo versus Grimmjow over here, you know. It's not exactly Ichigo versus Aizen. But it's a really nice, like, even though the entire episode is animated really well, when you get to that fight scene, it feels like a slight step up from even that. There were just some really nice moments. I like how they showed that Ichigo is very clearly, like, more powerful than this dude, but is just trying to figure out what his deal is. Like, he's just kind of casually flying around, dodging the shots of Airburn until he eventually slices one in half and is like, alright, you want me to go Bankai? Fine, here I go, Bankai. The last thing I really want to say about this episode is the outro. I don't know if it's actually going to be the proper outro for the entire series, or if this is just a first episode thing, but the outro was a montage of moments from the original series, and I watched the whole thing, and it was just lovely. It made me misty-eyed a little bit. Like, it was just a really nice, like, hey, remember the original series? And, like, for people who might be picking this series up with this episode, which I wouldn't recommend doing, but I wouldn't be surprised, because sadly the original series seems to have been delisted from Crunchyroll and Netflix. I went and checked a minute ago. Hopefully they pop up on Disney Plus soon, which is where I got this from, by the way, in the UK. If not, who knows, maybe Bleachget is still around. It's probably riddled with viruses. Search at your own risk. But yeah, I think that montage was there to be nostalgic and, like, thankful for the earlier seasons of Bleach, but also to be like, hey, if you've never seen the original seasons of Bleach, maybe not like here's what went down, but like here's an idea of what to expect if you want to go back and watch it. And you probably should. I wouldn't say that Thousand Year Blood War is the best place to pick up Bleach. You're probably gonna miss out on understanding a lot of the lore, especially later on when some things get revealed. But I mean, it wouldn't be the end of the world if you're just here for the action sequences. But yeah, this I got this on Disney Plus. I believe it's on Hulu in America, so that makes sense that it would be on Disney Plus in the UK. But Disney Plus UK have not marketed this at all. I had to search for it when I got to the website, and I was saying it's not on their front page. I did just go and double check. It is on their new releases, but like you have to click like 5 times to the right, and it's on like the second to last entry. So they're really, really not showing this one off, and maybe it's because we got a dude getting straight up beheaded in this episode, and maybe Disney Plus are like, we prefer Disney princesses. But come on, Arihime, she's pretty much a princess. She's a queen. So that's going to do it for this week's edition of my thoughts on Bleach Thousand Year Blood War. Let me know what you thought about this episode in the comments down below. Were you happy that Bleach is back? Have you never seen it? And leave a like if you liked the video. I will see you next week for more. Bleach is back, I'm so happy!